Oh, hi, good afternoon. So, hi, Garishma. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
All good, all good. So good to see you. Good to see
Yeah,
someone who is starting off the journey like investment banking.
yeah,
And me working here like into this industry for around like 4 to 5 years now, I really wanted
yeah,
some information from someone like who is starting a journey into this field, right?
hmm,
Like someone who is quite new like into this industry and trying to
yeah,
pave from this competition of this IB competition to the buy side,
yeah,
sell side divisions, or like if I just talk about a core finance industry. How is a
yeah,
person who is planning to enter into this field of this generation has a
yeah,
mindset, a different mindset that we possessed, right? So that's the main discussion,
mm,
and all the questions would be centered around this aspect
yes,
as
yes,
well, which I believe in, right? Because I was quite curious in like interacting with the people like who are of this new generation about how they're planning to go ahead into this field.
yeah, yeah,
So that's my agenda, and that's why I wanted someone from this new generation to talk and like interact with the same, right?
yeah, yeah,
So that is someone I want. So I have a list of questions, right, for the new generation guy here, like on
yeah,
the.
yeah, yeah,
So I just ask you here is like, what do you think a person who has just entered into this finance world, right, of your age, of your
hmm,
generation,
hmm.
do to pave this competition, right, to survive in this competition?
Okay, so first of all, I'm very, very grateful that you invited me to this podcast. I am literally very grateful. And like I'll straightforward start with answering the question. So what I feel is like what is missing in the youth is they are behaving like where they are very underconfident, which should be not. I mean, if even if you're fresher, you should straightforwardly be curious and reach out to people on LinkedIn, start posting on LinkedIn. That actually worked for me at least. As I was doing CFA level one, I used to post everything on LinkedIn, whatever I used to learn, suppose on fixed income or any topic per se. So I used to post a lot on LinkedIn, and I was very curious by my nature only. I never used to skip on any events by CFA also, and some things which helped me a lot being ahead of the competition was like a platform called Value Picker. Value Picker is a very good platform. I met his co-founder as well, and the platform has all the resources which you need to understand about the market. And secondly, I read a lot about the news, what is currently going on in the market, and generally what is the hot topic in the news, like elections as of now. What is your view? I mean, most important thing as a fresher also, if you know how to put your view, how to form your own view in the market is very, very important. I mean, that is what you're paid for going forward in your career, be it IB, be it sell side, be it buy side. Wherever you go, if you're into the market, you should know how to form your own view. And you should start investing by yourself also, so you should have the skin in the game. I guess that is what makes you ahead of the competition.
Agreed, completely agreed. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
All those newbies
Thank you.
wants to really join the this industry
Yeah.
would be helping them out of this great,
Yeah.
yeah, this good answer.
Yeah.
Great, great,
Thank you.
great.
Yeah.
Anything
Yeah.
else you want to?
So
Yeah,
yeah, actually, I was thinking, I also had some questions for you as well. So I wanted to have this session to be interactive. So let's do it one on one. As you asked me a question, I'll ask you a question, and we'll keep it that way, and we'll keep it very to the point. Okay.
surely, surely.
So, okay. So let's start with the first question. So my first question is, what it takes to be at an investment bank like JP Morgan and others. I mean, it is so fascinating and people crave to go to such firms. I would like very curious to know about your like role and how did you get into that?
Yeah, so I joined JP Morgan Chase and Company around 3.5 years back. And ultimately, which I believe I had no plans in before to join JP Morgan Chase and Company, right? My main agenda was like if you want to enter into a finance industry, because my main agenda was to enter into a finance industry and not JP Morgan per se, right? The one thing is that whatever you are doing, like be it your BCom, be it your MBA, be it like any finance curriculum, your courses from outside, be it CFA, give your 100% into it. Like some people tend to say that they want to go for that one specific role only. They want to go towards a research role only. In that case, those
Hmm.
guys they stop focusing upon some other concepts in finance, right? Those guys
Yeah.
like don't study about derivative market, about the fixed income market, because those guys are just interested towards the equity side view, correct? which I believe in currently, if someone wants to build a career into these global investment banks, because these banks works globally, and you need to have a perspective upon each asset class, be it equities, be it fixed income, be it alternatives, be it the kind of derivative instruments as well. Correct. So I believe is if someone wants to start off their journey, the one thing is whatever they are doing, be it any curriculum, kind of a course or curriculum, they need to give in their 100%. Do it their best, ask doubts, ask queries from your teachers, from your LinkedIn connections, from different people who are into this space. And as the Karishma also stated, you have to build up good connections and good networking. And that good connections and good networking won't come to you in one go. You have to build that over
Yes,
a period of time.
period
Right?
of time.
I text a person on LinkedIn, that person might not revert you. But you have to show your work on LinkedIn through some things which can relate to his profile. You have to talk to that person because, as per my knowledge or as per science as well, it's at least 3 times you have to ping a person or contact a person, right, to build up a connection. Once
Yeah.
or twice, it won't come to you. At least 3 times you have to connect to that person to get that feedback from that person upon a particular thing. Try at least 3 times. So try to build up knowledge in finance, any curriculum, any knowledge that you want to build up. Try building connections, be confident in yourself. And the last thing is track global market news. You need to be aware what's all is happening in the market. You cannot say that I do not know what happened into that particular industry or market. Sensex Nifty ke levels जानना is one thing, but what is happening in market overall? What RBI
Overall.
regulation has come into place? Which NBFC regulation has come into place? How is this sector performing? How is the government regulation affecting that particular economy? All these things you need to know and you need to be very well updated. So that's my take on this.
Yes, that's a very crisp and to the point answer, and I totally agree to that. And that's why I also watch your videos as well, the things you share on your group, and I would highly recommend everyone to join your group. And please leave the link on the comments as well for that.
Yeah. Thank you, Karishma.
Okay.
That means a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to continue, just a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Previous one
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Like, what skill sets are relevant, like, which can make you
Hmm.
justified in this competitive world?
Okay.
Make you
So,
relevant in this competitive world. Yeah.
so if you know, as I'm into institutional equity sales in the sell side firm, my role, I would be sticking to my role, what things are, relevant for me to be in this industry and to excel my role is I have to always be updated in the market. Suppose a research analyst covering cement, even if he's aware what is the iron ore price and what are the companies doing, what is the cartelization in the cement industry, that is sticking to the cement sector only. But being into sales, as suppose any sales side company covering, for example, 250 to 300 companies, I have to be updated and I have to at least know the basics of everything and what is happening globally. Because see, if I'm going with the analyst to meet any of my buy side client, I should at least have some talking point with the client that what is this is what is happening in globally. This sector is might give good returns going forward. So knowing my client first of all is very important. Like what is the agenda, what my client is liking, what is the kind of nature, like he's aggressive or conservative. And my main forte is analyzing the portfolio of my client. Suppose they are doing any additions or deletions from the portfolio, I analyze it very in depth, and then I recommend to the client what you should add in your portfolio, what you should reduce from your portfolio. And that way, client wants actionable ideas always, where they can create the alpha and beat the index, right? So that's why my expertise comes into portfolio analyzing and reading financial models, not making them. So being into insti sales is knowing your client and treating it as your baby. Like if this is my client, I'm responsible that he makes money so that I can make money. So that is my agenda, and I analyze portfolio day and night, and I read always, and I keep connecting with people with in through different events. Suppose recently I went to some CFA event, and there I met one distributor in some very big FMCG company. He's working into North India and South India, and he has very great knowledge of, like, he has 25 years of experience, and it was relevant for me to bring him to in front of my client. So that is how you create alpha, by giving each and everything to the client. So that's how I'll sum up that these skills are very relevant to my role, and I'm trying to excel them by, implementing them day by day.
Correct, correct. Like perfectly
Yeah,
agree. And I just loved your point while saying like treating your client as your baby, right? So like
yeah,
you're trying
yeah.
to understand
It's
your
very
client,
important.
correct. And
Yeah,
delivering that alpha is a major part. You have to build
major
that
part. Yeah,
benchmark and deliver the alpha
yeah.
to the client to make him happy. Correct.
Hmm.
Totally agreed. Agreed to him.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So, my next question would be to you is, when did you start your journey towards investment banking? Like, why investment banking per se?
I started my journey towards investment banking. I would say the thought of investment banking came later. But entering into the finance world, I suppose it started from I was in class 10th. I remember.
Oh,
I
okay.
started to track the markets. I started to track Sensex, Nifty. I developed a habit to create those financial models, trying to do valuations of the company and commenting upon various multiples, price to earning, book values, cash flows, and doing my forecasting analysis. And then I used to compare my research report with the people in the industry, the biggest people in the industry at like big companies, be it HDFC Securities, ICICI Securities, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs. So like those guys used to publish their research reports on CNBC, on Z Business, and they used to talk about such stuff in markets. Then I used to compare their ideology with my ideology. Then I used to compare my forward multiples with their multiples. Right. So my journey started like around class 10th. I used to upskill myself. The major part of upskilling, it began once I passed out class 12. Right. So major curriculums and
Hmm.
courses I started to pick up because during at that time, our main agenda was to pass class 10th, 11th, and 12th. Right. Along with that, I used to learn on my own through various social media content, though at that time the content was also less, right? So though
Hmm.
with that kind of limited content, I used to grasp all that knowledge. But my main learning started during the time of my graduation. I did my BCom honors from Delhi,
Hmm.
right? So all that training, I started to take up my training courses from NISM, from CFI Institute, from
Hmm.
different other courses and curriculums from which I could try to gather that knowledge. And then I used to implement that. And same my journey continued like throughout my journey of MBA from IBS Hyderabad and doing my CFA journey as well. I tried to gain as much practical experience from class 10, from different people, from different mindsets, from different ideologies, and tried to put in those things into my work. Right. That also helped
Hmm.
me to grow, that helped me to gain that practical exposure and to become much more confident, right? Because I gathered that confidence like during my graduation time and during once I started with my MBA, I started to give out lectures in different colleges like IIMs, IITs,
Hmm.
national on valuations, on financial modeling, multi-assets, banking, and like all that stuff. So that's a huge journey that started around 10, 12 years back. And I'm still into that learning phase and hoping to become
Yeah. I am so, so inspired right now. I cannot even emphasize on that. I mean, I really need that kind of motivation. I mean, after hearing you, I'm like, I'm not doing anything literally. I feel like that. I mean, that's very inspiring, Moya. I'm like very impressed.
like you absolutely are doing really good. You can also follow Karishma on the social media platforms like LinkedIn. She really posts good content, and like for all the people who want to start up their journey, the content is really fruitful and like informative. So you can go ahead and follow Karishma. So my follow-up question for you, like since we have talked about
Thank
our
you so much.
journey, our skill
Yeah,
set,
yeah,
relevance. So what are
yeah,
you doing in your current role?
yeah.
Quite curious to know about your current role.
Okay, okay. So I work in proper sell side firm. So if for the, for simplicity, I'll put in by starting what is buy side and what is sell side in layman terms. Buy side is जो assets खरीदता है, जो खुद से invest करता है. Sell side is we are servicing them. So basically, I have like 15, 20 analysts in my firm. So whatever, suppose there's cement analyst, there's BFSI analyst, there's IT analyst. So they research and they write reports on that. They have the expertise in their respective sectors, and we have to market it to a buy side client. Suppose they are writing any sector report, or they are publishing any initiating coverage. So we have to market it to our buy side clients, whatever according to their portfolio, whatever is relevant to them. Suppose IT analyst has research on something very in depth, and they have some channel checks. Checks is basically something someone from the industry and who has expertise of around like 15 to 20 years experience. So we bring them to the client, and we directly bring management as well to the client. Suppose we are researching on any IT company or any company generally. So if we are initiating any company, we try to, bring management in front of our clients, and that's how we try to serve clients. everything and anything related to the client's portfolio. I have to manage everything. So this is a very clustered market. I mean, there are hundreds of brokers. So how why my client is going to listen to me? First of all, if you talk about how my day looks like, I always, even if it's a holiday also, we always send emails to the clients, morning emails to the client. Whatever is happening globally, whatever is happening in the Indian market, whatever reports we have published, and then we try to what suppose an buy side analyst covering FMCG or retail or cement. So to the respective analyst, whatever reports we have published, we are going to tell them that this is what we have written, this is what is my analyst view, this is my view, and whatever is there, we try to give them each and everything. So that if client is dependent on me, that is where I create my alpha. I mean, I have to treat him that way that everything you whatever you want related to your research or anything, you can get everything from me. Corporate access, channel checks, analyst view, everything you can get from the sell side. So basically, sell side works as in if my client works on my ideas and if he likes my work, they give votes to the analyst, and depending on that, we get the brokerage. We generate the brokerage depending on that.
Great, great. That's a great,
So
amazing.
yeah, yeah. So NC sales is basically like that only, that you have to service your client with end-to-end preference to the client so
Mhm.
that we can generate brokerage out of it. That many times I'm putting it into the to the point, not beating around the bush, just straight to the point.
Yeah, no, that's a great role. The
Yeah,
people who want to start their
yeah,
journey into the sales side will really get some
yeah,
good points about starting their journey.
yeah,
Great, great.
yeah. Okay. So my next follow-up question to you is, what drives you to work harder in the competitive world? I mean, as I have seen that you are managing your YouTube as well, you are managing your LinkedIn as well, you are working in IB also. IB guys are like, as much as I have seen, my a lot of my friends are also working. They are like, it's very hectic. I mean, over time you have to work a lot. I mean, how do you manage? I'm like very inspired and very curious also at the same time.
See, the thing is, the strategy which I work upon is I'm always curious, right? That curiosity and the willing to explore new.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah.
thing should be alive, be it of any age, be it you are in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, like till the point of time you are alive, right? Because
Hmm.
once you go away out of this world, so that's the time when you are just relaxing, right? Because people tend
Yeah.
to say like that we want some relaxation and that we want one peace.
Hmm.
The only way that you can get peace is like once you go out of this world and go to God, like which I believe in, right?
Yeah,
Because once
yeah.
you are on this earth, you have to be curious, you have to strive, you have to struggle, you have to work hard to gain what you want, right? Like you need to be patient,
Mm.
but that
Yeah, yeah.
amount of
Agreed.
peace would be less, right? You can do some meditation, you can just have some work-life balance, but that amount of peace might be less because if you are in this world, like as we tend to call it as Kali Yuga, right? In this current
Yeah.
world, correct? So the thing is, I have been curious always,
Yeah,
correct? So I have been curious always. The main thing is that I want to learn
yeah,
new, I want to explore new things, right? And that gives me that motivation
yeah,
to do more, right? To work harder in
yeah.
my current role, to get to know more things, right? Because
Hmm.
there are some things which I also don't know, right? I get to
Hmm.
learn from my colleagues, from my senior management, from people like who have been there into this firm for more than 10, 15, 20 years. They give me huge set of insights and knowledge. And same thing, I also try to gather out from people outside my firm, right? From the YouTube,
Yeah.
from the social media platform, from people like you, from other more experienced guys like we have been in this industry for more than 20, 30 years, right? So this thing also I plan to do it continuously. So this thing gives me that motivation to strive hard, to work hard, and to go towards my goal and managing my work at my office and also working towards my YouTube, my LinkedIn, and other social media platforms. So that thirst, that curiosity should be there to strive towards your goal. That's what I believe.
Great, great. I totally agree to that. But still, I'm like very curious to know that the problem that youth is facing is that they are distracted by Instagram and show off all the things which a
Mhm.
lot of people do. So how do you tackle with that? I mean, this is my, things sometimes which I also suffer. That's why I thought like if we are doing a podcast, let's not hesitate in
Correct.
asking.
Correct. See, the thing is, what do people do of a younger generation? They wake up in the morning and they open their Instagram,
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
right?
Yeah.
And before sleeping at night, like they open their Instagram,
Yes.
scrolling, scrolling, and
Yeah, scrolling. Yeah.
What content are you scrolling matters. Once
Yeah.
you open the
Yeah.
Instagram of a youth, right? Like you get to know that what type of content he is watching.
Hmm.
If the content is out of the league, like you get to know like about like where that person is bound to go in future. If the content
Hmm.
is useful, like you get to know that where that person will stand after like
Hmm.
10 years from now. The content
Hmm.
that you're watching, and are you implementing that content?
Implementing that.
The right content, having that stage, having that stepping stone, and trying to implement that content. Because most
Yeah,
of
I
the people
agree.
tend to watch reels, they scroll and वो सोचते हैं हमें क्या करना है, हम कल करेंगे, हम परसों करेंगे, हम परसों करेंगे.
Hmm.
Instead of scrolling that thing kal parso tarso, start to implement that. At a point of time, you have to think implementing that. You have to manifest a particular thing that I will be able to do it. You have to manifest that thing that I will be there at that particular point of time. I can do it. I will do it. I'm born to do
Yeah.
it. Right? So
Yeah.
instead of just scrolling your Instagram for reels in morning and evening, have that productive Instagram. If you guys have some unproductive reels on Instagram, try refreshing your Instagram and try to look for channels like which are productive, like so that the notification of that those channels or videos or reels come to your Instagram. You
Yeah.
get more
Makes sense.
productive so those reels, right? And start reducing your Instagram time and start implementing stuff. Try watching good videos on YouTube's, right?
Yeah.
Try making your own stuff. Try penning down your own notes. So that will really help you. That thing that will
Makes
also
sense.
get implemented.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I totally agree with that. I mean, even that's relevant to me as well. Sometimes, if I'm being honest, sometimes I also get distracted. I mean, it's a human instinct.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's a follow-up question.
Yeah.
What is the best time you think,
Hmm.
right? Which is to pursue learning, right? Because whenever we are thinking about a
Hmm.
future career, the world changes
Hmm.
dynamically, right?
Yeah.
And currently also like we are very well occupied with the current profiles, the extra things
Hmm.
that we are doing off board. So how to
Hmm.
keep ourselves into this current league, survive the competition and continue upskilling ourselves, right? To survive in this generation.
So I agree. I agree. So, as you asked this question, only one person came to my mind. So, there's this one of my colleague. She was a scientist in US. She completed her PhD around 21 or something, at the age of 21 or something. And she was a scientist and working in a very
Mm.
big firm. So she was a scientist in US. She lived in US for 9 years, and then she came back to India. Her vision was to change her field because she was into. She was a scientist, and she was little, hesitant after she got married and all. She wanted to move some another field, and she was fascinated by venture capital and all. But she wanted to start from scratch. She wanted to get into finance and then understand the how to analyze the businesses and all. So she started working in Incred with us. So now she's working biotechnology, I guess, and she writes stuff. She writes thematic reports on any drugs invented in US, what is the impact of it into the pharma companies and all. So if you see, at the age of 30, when she has very beautiful career, she's earning well, she was earning beautifully in US, and still she left everything and she's working as a fresher in finance. And then now, after getting married and everything is there on her, like responsibilities and all, as you all are aware of the after marriage whatever happens, and still she's planning to pursue a CFA, and then she's planning to pursue PhD as well from Harvard.
So agreeing with your point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can just continue about your friend. Yeah. So like a good inspiring journey I was just hearing about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Back to CFA and starting from scratch.
scratch, yeah. So now she's planning for CFA, then PhD from Harvard, and then she's planning to start something of her own. I mean, that's the confidence you should have in yourself. I mean, if she can plan something like that, and she her family didn't have any background in science as well. She did it everything by herself. She got the loan. She worked a lot on everything. I mean, it was all her effort and did it everything by herself. Just there was some curiosity to work hard and to pay off in your career and pay off your parents about their hard work. They provide you everything. And I mean, whenever I think of something, if I get demotivated or something, I'm like, this is the person I'm looking for.
Oh, that's really great. That's really great.
Yeah.
Very
So there's
inspiring.
no,
Yeah.
so there's no perfect time to learn anything, but this is just I mean, amazing. But whenever I see, look at her.
No, correct. Very inspiring
Yeah,
journey. Shifting
yeah,
into some other career and starting from very scratch. It clearly shows there is
yeah,
no age or no time to start anything. It is just the
yeah,
best that you need to have, and at that particular
yeah,
time you can begin.
yeah.
Be correct. Perfectly inspiring.
Oh, yeah. So let me ask you the follow-up question. I mean, I'm very curious to know that, and youngsters like me are, want to know that is CFA mandatory? Apart from it, what skill sets to focus upon to enter into the finance world, basically?
See, CFA being the essential one, because nowadays people are planning their CFAs, and CFA being like one of the most essential one to enter into such fields, right?
Yeah.
Within a CFA, I mean, trying to understand those skills and knowledge that a person needs to have. Right. So that is one more important thing because you are doing a CFA, like you're gathering those skills, but are you able to implement those skills or talk about those
Hmm.
skills or communicate those skills to the final audience or to your manager, to your senior,
Hmm.
right? So doing a CFA is very nice. Try to gather it. Try to have that as an essential ingredient or degree in your CV, right? But what exactly you are doing into that, trying to have a practical implementation of that, right? That you can
Hmm.
gather through experience, gather through some people's experience on different social media platforms.
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
various programs, live training programs, there are various links available on YouTube, right, which really guide you free of cost as well and paid as well, how these skills you guys can implement in a practical world. If a guy is managing the portfolio, how is able to manage the portfolio in the practical world? Just knowing about the CAPA model, just knowing about the attribution details of asset allocation, selection, interaction doesn't work. How to implement that in real life? How are you being overweight, underweight over the benchmark and taking that position to deliver that alpha in the practical world? Right? Because in the practical world, it won't be stock A, stock B, stock C. There'll be hundreds of stocks, right? And you have to
Yeah.
manage that attribution, right? You have to like manage the alpha for the client on the basis of these three attributions. So similar concepts and practicable applicability over the other things as well. So try to gather that practical exposure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. And yeah, I mean, that makes sense as well. I mean, if you want to start your career, you have to be practically alert about everything.
Yeah.
Okay, that was
So
insightful. Yeah,
yeah, that is one thing.
yeah,
Right. So one quick question I will just ask you, Rahul.
yeah,
Like it as my last
yeah,
question. Like one very quick
yeah.
question.
Done.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are you keeping yourself motivated currently? Try to strive in this world, this competitive world. A very crisp
Okay, so
answer. Yeah.
okay, even if you're getting paid, suppose in crores or something, but if your company people are your seniors are not good, and if they are like pressurizing you unnecessary, and they are just complaining about your work, doesn't work that way. My seniors are like literally motivating me each and every time. I mean, I cannot emphasize on how blessed I am to have such mentors in my life. I mean, my senior is like, even if you do 2000 mistakes, I'm okay with that. I'm not deducting your any of your salary or anything like that. He's like always bringing up the youngsters, and he knows that this is the future. So I mean, my agenda is to have good mentors in your life and good seniors in your life. I mean, I'm blessed with the best boss I could ever ask for, and that's what always tries me to work very hard. I mean, my boss always publishes 3 to 4 reports daily. I mean, it involves a lot of work and research. Being at the age of 50 years, still he's always thinking about the market. How can I improve the business? How can I service my client well? So that motivates me a lot. And interacting with people like you and interacting with people like in the network, in the CFA events or anywhere else motivates me a lot that people are bringing so much into the world. Why can't I? So that's what keeps me going.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely great. That motivation is really important and
It's
having
very
a set
important.
of people.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have just one last question with you to ask you. What's your view on global macros currently? Because I see that you research a lot on that and you talk a lot about it. So we viewers would want to know your view currently. What is in your mind?
So, if I just talk about the global macros and a very
Yeah,
right point to ask the question, being Nifty and Sensex
yeah,
4 times high, the
yeah. At all time high.
yeah, very nice question to ask for.
Yeah,
The thing is, I'm
yeah.
very positive on India. India grows to
Okay.
be next 5 to 7 years. Where China
Hmm.
was 10 to 15 years back, India is there right now.
Is
We are expanding towards everything. Our kind of manufacturing activities, our production activities being supported by the PLI schemes by the government of India, our EMS,
hmm.
electronic manufacturing space, all these parts,
Yeah.
Apple phones, laptops being manufactured in India and being like assembled in India. And so all this manufacturing space, industrial space, EMS space can do really well, I believe in. Apart from that, I believe like if I give you a sector view, if I talk about from a
Hmm.
long-term perspective, like even the financials can do really well. The automobile industry, the financial industry, the consumer sector industry. Because if overall
Hmm.
the economy is performing really well, the sectors which
Hmm.
take this economy higher will really perform well.
Yeah,
Banking
yeah, I
sector we
agree.
all talk about, correct. So banking
Yeah.
sector we all talk about, like the banking is facing some near-term challenges on NIMs,
Yeah.
because banks have to
Yeah.
deposits and the NIMs might come
Yeah.
down and those kinds of RBI regulations. All these things might sound to be cumbersome at this particular point of time,
Hmm.
like all these kinds of RBI regulations. But after 1 year or 2 years down the line, the system will become so strong. It will be hedged against all kinds of calamities. It might feel as a kind of, I would say, cumbersome, but the RBI is trying to build the system so strong, right? Having those layers of, having these layers of strong layers of, I would say, garnishing around that stuff, right? So the manufacturing sector, EMS, banking, all these places can do really well, right?
Really.
If we talk about the global markets per se, right? People talk about the valuation numbers of India. India being overvalued and like it's time to
Hmm.
sell the markets, right? I believe India is
Hmm.
fairly valued. Right, been trading
Yeah.
at multiples of 21x, 20x. So the average multiples being around 19 to 20 around, right? But
Yeah.
the difference is not so high. It's being
Yeah.
currently fair valued. If we talk
Hmm.
about US markets, average multiples trading around 14 to 18 or 19, but currently being trading around 28. The US market is overvalued.
Overvalue.
But it doesn't mean to sell off an overvalued thing. If the fundamentals are good, if those particular stocks are good, you can have a
Yeah.
defined portfolio for those particular stocks and try to build up your journey. Also, people ask me till what time this decoupling can happen. The US market
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
against and those Indian markets going against each other, right? They have to come together at a point of time. Because most of all, what happens when these emerging economies are performing, Indian market, Indonesian markets, Vietnam markets, right? And those
Hmm.
developed economies are going down, right? A time comes when these developed economies tend to perform really well, go really high, have those higher valuation multiples and come down. And these things get followed by those emerging markets. Now, here, I
Agreed.
do not mean that there would be a crash in India. There might be a correction, but not a crash. A healthy correction
Yeah.
is always good. Good, right?
Always good.
Like things that going down, right? So
Yeah.
that's my view
Agreed.
on equity markets. The US markets being overvalued, Indian markets being fairly valued, Japanese market doing really good, Japanese market being 32 years high, right? Chinese markets being undervalued, like good to pick up some stocks
Hmm.
there. European
Stocks.
markets
Yeah.
being really good in terms of banking space, energy space. Korean markets being really good in terms of materials, manufacturing, right? Even the fixed
Hmm.
income space is good, right? Because if you
Hmm.
believe the interest rates are going down, going towards a long duration bond, right, to
Yeah.
get that interest rate. But
Yeah.
nowadays, portfolio managers have started to take position into, I would say, an intermediate bond duration, right? Because they're skeptical that whether the rates of interest will go up or go down, right?
Hmm.
So the CPI numbers are good now, right? We have some
Hmm.
3.5%, right? But to take advantage of both the sides, being an
Hmm.
interest rate
Yeah.
fall or rise, they've started to take position into some intermediate bonds, right? So that
Yeah.
situation is also really good. Going towards the credit side of business, going towards private credit.
Hmm.
High yield is also giving around like 7.5 to 8% currently, right? Being less
Hmm.
volatile than equities and fundamentally strong,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So I believe the economy is doing really good. So in one line, I believe
Okay.
I'm overweight in equities, I'm
Hmm.
constructive on credit, I'm neutral on
Hmm.
duration, and I'm long on the USD currency, right? So that
Got
which I
it.
believe in.
Got it. Got it. That was a crisp and to the point answer and what we wanted to know and from a perspective through that, listening to that and other things as well. So I mean I think that sums up to everything we want I wanted to ask basically. And it
Yeah,
was a
same
very
here.
interactive session. I mean, I loved talking to you, and it was a really good catching up with you. And I hope our viewers would like to know more about it. We can conduct more sessions and dig in more into other things as well.
And it was also really good, Karishma, having you here, like connecting
Thank
with
you
you,
so much.
trying to know about your experience
Yeah,
and trying to know about your stuff. It's really good
yeah.
connecting with you, good talking with you,
Thank
and
you. Thank you.
continue doing the great work,
Thank
right?
you so much.
And hope to see
Thank
you in
you.
future for my more podcasts.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely.
Definitely. See you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.